Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Soulful Mamas podcast. You're with Maria. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for your patience and grace as I come back into your airwaves once more. I know it's been a wee minute, but here I am, and I promise you it has been worth the wait because today's episode I bring to you the wonderful Claire Eccleston. Honestly, she's an inspiration. Her words are like calming balm to your ears. Such medicine. And she's so wise and so knowledgeable, yet so deeply humble and in her own humanness as well, and can really speak to her own trials and tribulations. And it just makes her all the more human and helps us, the listener, realize that we're all actually the same in the end. At the end of the day, we're just bumbling along and all the way through and doing our best. And sometimes along the path, we get these beautiful earth angels like Claire who are there to shine the light and support and guide us. And yeah, this is what Claire has done for many people over the years as a home birth midwife, and now she is also traveling the world teaching spinning babies and offering support to mothers and communities in so many different countries. She's such an inspiration. She's absolutely beautiful. I will stop talking. You can start listening. I'll bring to you the beautiful Claire. Leah, welcome. Welcome to the Soulful Mamas podcast. So good to see you. Oh,
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here.
thank you. Do you want to share with us a little bit about, perhaps if we just start with your journey into motherhood and what that looked like, and we'll flow from there.
Yeah, I've been reflecting on that question, and I can't talk about how I am as a mother without talking about my mother and my grandmother. And I think, like I learned to mother through watching my mother and my grandmother. So I want to honor them, both very stoic, hardworking women. My nanny had 8 kids, and my mum was a midwife and had 4 kids and was a lactation consultant. So I grew up as the eldest daughter of 4, watching her juggle her work and her studies, reading her midwifery textbooks, and also listening to her give breastfeeding advice on the phone in the old days where the phone had a curly cord. And then my own journey into motherhood, I always knew I would be a mother. When I was about probably even 17, my body longed to carry a baby. And I would sometimes cry when I got my period. I didn't know why, but it was because I wanted to have a baby. And then I conceived my first baby as I started midwifery, pretty much around the same time as I started to study nursing to be a midwife, because that's what you had to do in Australia 25 years ago. And I was so enamored. I was so in the romance of motherhood at that time, like the beauty of it and the softness of it and the eroticness of it, actually. And I got really bad morning sickness. So I was on this mission to be a midwife and conceived my first son and got really bad morning sickness. So I had to surrender that journey and had a very beautiful birth with him in Australia in the hills of Byron Bay. Just my partner and my mum and I at home. And a midwife came later. And actually it was a very beautiful journey and a very hard journey. Like, I remember just feeling so cracked open by the birth. And so I felt like, particularly with pushing, right? I felt like the universe had exploded me to the edges of the galaxy. And it took a little while for all of those pieces to come back into place. And I remember, I was broken open into the hard the hardness of motherhood. Actually, it is hard. You know, the lack of sleep and the constantness and the giving and the am I enough. And actually what really came up for me, and I'm going to go pretty deep, pretty fast, if that's okay.
That's perfect.
What came up for me in my very early motherhood time, in that first 6 weeks, was, you know, when I was little, I had experienced some sexual abuse. And what came up for me was this absolute terror of doing that to my child. And how do I not do that? And it surprisingly very much impacted my those early 6 weeks. I was so broken open, and so by the birth, right, by becoming a mother. And so, you know, because it's like when you fall in love with a lover, and your heart opens in ways that it hasn't for a long time. And in those places of your heart that hadn't been opened, you find all the things that were hiding in the dark rooms of your heart. And I found, oh, I feel a bit emotional. I found when I gave birth, you know, my body stretched open, my vagina stretched open. And I think what arose was all the places that had been hiding, or the trauma of the sexual abuse. And so I want to honor, you know, all the unspokens that arise for women when they have their first baby, particularly, or just take a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect that. All the places of their heart that open, and all the places of their body that open. And particularly, we live in a culture where there's not a lot of acknowledgement, or ritualistic acknowledgement. There's not an acknowledgement often of the closing then that needs to happen, or the exquisite openness that happens after you have a child. How delicate it is, how vulnerable you are, how otherworldly it is. I was quite otherworldly for quite some time. It took a little while for all those pieces of my psyche to regroup in the new order that was a mother. You know, that deep initiation. It was very much a physical, emotional, mental, heart, body of the psyche initiation. And it was so tender and so sweet. I remember we lived in this little cottage in the hills of Byron Bay in a little place called Rosebank. And I was there by myself. Mostly my partner left at 7 in the morning, and he arrived at 7 or 8 at night. He was working 5 days a week. And so one day a week I would hitchhike into Byron Bay with my nappy bag. And the other days I would make it's very romantic, right? I would make flower garlands for my partner's altar, and I would garden, and I would make food, and I would breastfeed and sleep and tend to this very beautiful baby that I had, a very, very calm, very soulful, and so deeply in love with him still. He's 25 now. He fights Muay Thai and has 2 children of his own. I was very blessed, actually, you know. And 25 years ago, there wasn't cell phones, and we had this old dodgy TV, but we were out the back of the wops in the hills, so that didn't work much. And I went to a mother's group once a week, but other than that, I really didn't have a lot of contact with anybody. There was the old phone,
Mm-hmm.
the wire attached to the wall. So I was very present with him and present in nature. I remember though once I was magicking in the garden, you know, with a big like axiomatic thing, and I was so determined to do what I wanted to do, and he was in a wrap, like a front pack, and I was, you know, hardcore magicking. I bumped his head with the matting, the handle. I didn't feel very good about that. You know, it was this constant. It was fine. It wasn't the sharp end. It was this constant, you know, surrender. And as it has been my whole mothering journey, this constant surrender of, um, my will, thy will, and their will. You know, what do I want to do in the world? What does my child need? And what does the universe or God, be demanding of me?
Yeah.
And I'm still in the process of not very well juggling that. And particularly because I'm a midwife, I started, when he was 2, I started running a pregnancy support group and a parenting support group and calling in speakers. And I started assisting a home birth midwife in Australia. And I started being a doula. And actually, my first doula client gave me my first cell phone. So it was actually hard, like I was a doula client for a woman who had twins, and I would bring my little boy, Namai is my first child, and I would vacuum her floor and clean her dishes, and then Namai would be either in my front pack or playing with his toys, or sometimes like, Mom, I want to go, Mom, can we go? So I think mothering for me has always been deeply infused, other than this first 2 years with Namai. It's been deeply infused with juggling the internal work of mothering and very much inside the home, and then the external work of being a midwife outside the home and running groups. I've always ran pregnancy and parenting yoga or support groups. And that tension was ever present, ever challenging, still is. I don't think I got it right. I still don't.
There is no right.
Yeah, I don't know. It actually got worse, rather than better with my kids, that juggle and that balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Namai is a beautiful young man now. As I said, he's 25 and he's a father of his own 2 children. So it's beautiful to watch intergenerational um the intergenerational mother. Well, he's a father, to watch his partner, she's a beautiful mother, to watch the parenting, and to be a grandmother is very beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a beautiful space to be in, isn't it? To be able to witness your child. You've just acknowledged your mother and your grandmother and that line, and then it continues, and now you're the grandmother as well as the mother,
Mm.
and you yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, we think, I remember moments, when the kids were little, when they were babies, like, 3 a.m., like, fuck, this is never going to end. This sort of perpetual feeding and no sleep and feeding and no sleep. And then not only does it end, and not only, like always with my kids, it's like I felt like I got blasted into connection with them through the birth, like blasted into the deepest heart opening. We are one being. And then they spend the rest of their lives sort of gently stepping away into their own independence, coming in, coming out. So not only is it a temporary experience, but mothering in a way is what's sort of a temporary experience. I still mother Namai, but
Yeah.
in a different way. It's absolutely, it's temporary in that it's always changing. It's just like how the labor is temporary. You have a contraction, it ends. The experience of labor is temporary. The experience of parenting, it gets hard, it subsides, it gets hard, and then they leave the house, or they leave the country. He lived in Vietnam for a year, but they still tuck in, and then they tuck away. And not only is it temporary, but it's also not a moment in time. It's generational. It's, parenting and mothering, having a child, it's a continuum. It's just one bead in the thread of a necklace of our ancestry of humankind. It's
Beautiful.
when we're so focused on that one thing, it's so intense, and yet it's so temporary, so fleeting.
Yeah. fleeting, isn't it? Yeah, I absolutely, I hear you. Just the different, even their own stages in their childhood. There's that mine are now both teenagers, and you can just that chapter of the true innocence of childhood, that dreamlike magic. It's just not the same, but it has evolved into something equally as beautiful. But it doesn't have to be, it can't be the same because they're forever growing and moving and evolving, and we all are. Beautiful.
Yeah, and there's very, very beautiful lessons of stepping in, stepping away, engulfing and then letting go. And I found as my kids have gotten older, at the moment Namaya is 25 and Gus is 21 and Felix is 12, and my grandchildren are 3 and 1. And so Namai and Gus a couple of years ago went through a stage where every time I walked into the kitchen, they would hard out criticize me for all my parenting, and what they were doing, well, they were criticizing, which was very bitter medicine. It was medicine. It was very bitter. And I had to, put a stop to it at some point. But what they were doing was helping me, and they're doing this constantly now as adults. They are dictating the level of interaction or intimacy that they desire. In the beginning, well, the baby always does that, right? The baby dictates the level of intimacy they need. And you're so intimate with the little baby, it's so engulfed. And then it's this constant unfolding and letting go and healthy detachment. It's such an art, right? Of each child, of each learning phase,
Yeah.
when to step in, when to step away, how engulfing and how detached to be. And definitely as they've gotten older, they've helped me learn, or they have dictated the level of detachment they've needed from me, which I'm very grateful that they have the awareness and the voice to do that. Like Namai, I was so sort of frustrated and proud. I was having some parties. There was naked swimming of other women in my swimming pool, and Namai called a family meeting, and he made a PowerPoint. Mum, these are the house rules as dictated by us. No naked swimming in the swimming pool. And I was like so frustrated and so proud. Like, oh, look at this beautiful, powerful man stating what he needs and, standing up to me and supporting his children.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. That's pretty big, isn't it? But how beautiful that he's able to step into that in his voice, because this is what you've gifted him in a sense. But yeah, to hear, like you say, bitter medicine,
Mm.
but to receive it.
Mm. Yeah, and it's been interesting watching, from little ones to big ones, and that I remember when I was a mum, just so like, I don't want to fuck you up. I'll do everything not to fuck you up. Oh, I fuck them up. I fuck them up completely. Like fuck ups happen because I'm human. I think
Uh,
revaluing like what is it that kids really need, or, that absolute consistency of love. And then all the little things I thought were important, for them, it's not important. Well, they give me that feedback now. Organic apples, that wasn't important. They and so much that feedback of they are who they are in reflection as good people of how I held my own center, or how I lived as a woman in the world, rather than anything I told them to do. How they've grown up has been mirrored and modeled rather than me shaping them with any sort of parenting strategy, if that makes sense.
100% makes sense. Yeah, yeah, totally agree. It's our words don't teach, the actions don't even, you can model to a point, but it's it's your inner light, your inner drive, and that's what emanates out. That's what they're receiving from you, that energy, that's their how supporting them in navigating the world at the different stages, and that's what they feel, and it's beautiful that your son is able to then hold that and articulate that back, express that back to you. He's received it in the way that you know it's just how you were, your being. Yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely to watch them. And it's lovely to get that feedback. I'm very grateful of the feedback of where things worked well for them, and equally so of the feedback of things where that didn't work well. I'm very grateful for those open lines of communication. Namaya has been in and out of the house with us, with his little ones. They live with us on and off.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was, grandmothering in my home. They've just moved out recently. Gus, my 21-year-old, still at home, and Felix, who's 12, is still at home. So we're quite intimate still as a family. There's we see each other.
Yeah, that's
Still living
beautiful.
close.
Yeah. And also for Felix as the youngest of 12, and there's a gap there. So there's that opportunity for him to step into himself and how he walks the path of his that next phase of teenage years, and whether in alignment with what his siblings did before him or not, he can create his own pathway to and be held like they were held.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch for him because I was a lot busier as a midwife. I was working when I was pregnant with him. And then he was born quite early, 35 weeks at home.
Mm-hmm.
And a very beautiful birth, a very beautiful, straightforward, very quick birth. And he really came into our whole four of us. Like Namaya was 14 and Gus was 10. And my partner and myself, like he was absolutely uffied and loved by
Mm-hmm.
all of us. And he still is. He's not just parented by two of us, he's parented really by four of us, which is a curious dynamic within a family as well. Those who might be listening that have that big gap, it's different. It's different, and there's two things. There's one, I think Gus, my daughter, really
Mm-hmm.
had to parented a lot. She stepped into adulting perhaps too soon.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's the thing of what the little one gets is four, and a bit more, when Namai was my first, I was so trying to be perfect and careful. And then with my third, I'm like, oh, fuck it, he'll be right. And so he's quite different. He's quite cheeky and naughty and independent, and, things that I think if Namai was 12 and being a bit attitudey, I'd be like a bit upset or worried. I'm like, oh, he's got attitude. He's a teenager. And I can play and joke with that more. So it was curious having those two different ages. At one point, we had like, gangster rap and the Wiggles. We had full teenage shifting and toddler shifting. I'm just glad I was a bit younger so I didn't have sort of perimenopausal shifting at the same time. And I think some women do, right? They've got teenagers in menopause or toddlers in menopause. I'm going to have my Felix will be a teenager and I'll be coming into menopause. Those two wild, sort of cathartic ocean storms in the house at once.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's the phase I'm in. And my daughter has just started gone into her space of her bleeding time, her moon time, and I'm starting to, exit out. It's very interesting dynamic. But
Yeah.
it's I love this for her so much that she's stepping into the space, this rite of passage, if you like, and just honoring that for her, and then and for me, honoring that space for me, more in that mother, dancing on the threshold of mother, wise woman, between the two, and just allowing it to be whatever it is, and not having too many boxes and restrictions around it. So yeah, but it's interesting for sure. I know in my family, there's 11 years between myself and my younger brother. So there's three teenage girls and then my brother. So it's that dynamic. Yeah, the things that Daniel could do at a certain age, there's no way would have been able to, well, I would have been able to do. And he was definitely mothered
Mm.
by, yeah, 5 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, bless him. You can probably tell that now, but yeah, it's interesting, eh? It is just a different, how we're so held and wanting to get it right as that first time mother, whatever the right is. Um, and the comparison, and am I doing it right? Are they okay? So and so's doing this. What about that? Mother says this, father-in-law says that. There's all these different influences, and to be really strong as a woman becoming a mother, it's yeah, like you're saying, the support around that isn't always, that first, like you say, the 6 weeks, that time that you're in a liminal space really of where am I? Who am I? How does how do we meet? What is this?
Mm.
Mm. And society isn't really, I think it's coming now. Like the work that you're doing, so beautiful, and so many people like you, more and more so, and putting words and giving language to this, creating space for it. But I know when I had my son, it wasn't accessible for me where I was, that was even such a thing. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a silenced initiation in a way. I mean, that motherhood as initiation is spoken of, but the level of acknowledgement and respect for when you've had your baby, the initiation that you're in,
Mm.
I think it's silenced, it's ignored, it's under the carpet, it's I mean, because it is a lot, it's like ukaipo, right? Like it's like to breastfeed in the night. It's often done in the night, it's done quietly. The changes in a woman's psyche, it's nothing you can see obviously. I mean, you can see that your belly's changed and your breasts changed, but that deep, intensive changes in the psyche, the psychological, it's so intense and it's silenced. So, yeah, to give it voice is to acknowledge it, is to make it real, is to give it validation.
Mm.
Mm. And I think it's like, oh, sorry,
No, you
that
can.
question of, it's such a silly culture we live in some ways about what pram and what cut your grapes in half. And, there's a lot of bullshit that surrounds early motherhood. But then the deepest question, as a nanny now and having raised children who are a bit older and still raising children and hearing my children's feedback,
Mhm.
the question I would ask is like, not how you cut your grapes in half or what fancy pram you have, but how how do I hold myself that I can open more into love? How can I resource myself that my heart can open more and more, that I can love myself, that I could love my partner, that I could love this child? Because I think, what my kids give me feedback a lot about, it's where they felt I was present or not present with them in love. And
Mm.
with love, of course, comes respect and presence. How can I be present in love? That would be my deepest question. And I mean, I'm still not doing that well. I'm still in this tension of work and home, but that would be my thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you there. It's really it's an interesting thing when you have this inner call or whatever it is, like the work that you're doing, and then the work that I do, working with women. I just desperate, desperate's the wrong word. There's just this feeling of wanting to hold space and guide and support, and um the it's like there's something moving you, but at the same time, um, often I support women, mothers. And so I'm forever trying to be authentic and practice what I preach. Gosh, it's a fine line, because I know very well when you're talking about your children giving you feedback, I can just imagine, particularly from my son, the feedback. And I know I'll have to take a few good deep breaths because it's not all going to be rainbows and unicorns. and and I know that presence factor that you're talking about, there are times where I really grapple with that. It's um being fully present. And I know the times when I'm not.
Mm.
I'm maybe physically there, but I'm not present.
Yeah, I
Mm.
think that's probably my biggest in my mothering, um, where I fuck it up the most is not being present. And not and to open into love as well. I want to preface this, anyone's listening, to open into love, to open into presence. It doesn't mean you need to be without anger, because anger
Mm.
is a really healthy part of being human, right? Or it doesn't need to mean it doesn't need to mean that you're without resentment or that you're without all these other emotions that arise. But it's what's the practice of coming back into love? And that means loving yourself in your anger, in your rage, in your resentment, in your grief, in your frustration.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And where to find these spaces, I mean, it can be done a space that you create for yourself in your own home, your own little sanctuary. But I think so many people, they don't know how to access their anger. They don't even, it's layered, it's really suppressed, and it will express or manifest in other ways, but or just slow leak. There's not the space or permission given from self or others, society, that you can have the sacred rage if it's in there. Because I can imagine even going back to your birth with Namai and that, um, that experience that you had of abuse, and then it's all coming out. And then that would, what do you do with that? If there isn't a space, does it come out and then have to go quickly back in and wait for the next birth experience for maybe now this rage can have a voice? Yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple of things. One time with Namai when he was little and I was riding it, and it didn't have a lot of when I was riding it, I couldn't identify it. It didn't have a lot of words to it. It was just a funk. And
Mm.
I was standing in the lounge of our house and I was holding him. And I just let out this most gut-wrenching, deep sort of screaming and howling and sobbing. And that resolved it a bit. But mostly actually, I love a good rage. I love a good ecstatic rage. I love a good anger. But mostly actually how I've integrated that experience has been through joy. It's been through that what was the unweaving of the thread of integration of the sexual abuse experiences for me was through joy that I found through dance and movement.
Mm.
And, I want to speak to as well the gift of clean anger, and particularly as a mother, so good. Clean anger gives us really beautiful boundaries, and clean anger is like lovely expression of the human form. Anger is often if there's been something, a transgression of our boundary in some way, shape, or form. Or for our kids, clean anger helps them know that's not okay.
Mm.
Anger can come with a healthy no. A healthy don't no doesn't need clean anger, but and not that there's dirty anger either, but there can be a respectful expression of anger.
Yeah.
Anger is a beautiful gift, particularly as a mother bear, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's there, and it's yeah, rage too. It's a beautiful gift. The respectful expression of it, or the held expression of it. And yeah, we
Mm.
don't get a lot of skills to know how to hold it, how to cultivate it, how to sit with it. But then, of course, if we overgive, then we get resentful, and then we teach our kids to overgive, and blah blah blah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And so it goes.
Yeah,
Mm.
Gus, my daughter, just did art school, and it was 3 years, and their journey was around. My mum fucked me up because she's a martyr, so now I'm a martyr. Not really. That's me like interpreting it. But then the beautiful thing at the end was this absolute celebration of maternal lineage, myself and my mum and my grandma.
Mm.
And that again wasn't anything that I said in my mothering or did. That was Gus watching me. So yeah,
Wow.
healthy boundaries, right? I'm still learning that.
Yeah. That's really beautiful though,
Mm.
to be expressed, witnessed. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Mm. So for your work now, I mean, so midwifery's been your passion and your life's work. How is it now that you work with work with women or families, and yeah, share with us about a little bit about that, and then also how people can find you as well. What is it? Yeah, those platforms.
Thanks. Yeah, so I've been a midwife mostly doing home births for 23 years. And but now this year I just have two of my own clients. I just need a little time to be off call.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly actually I'm traveling around the world. I teach spinning babies, which is body work of how to help babies be born with ease. And I teach midwifery emergency skills around the world. So, you know, birth is birth in Guatemala and Mexico and Laos and Iceland and Ireland. Birth is birth is birth. Um, Also now I'm a somatic sexologist and a scar tissue remediation therapist. So I do a lot of body work now with women post-birth for the seen and unseen scars of birth. So C-sections, episiotomies, tears, but sometimes it's the unseen
Mm.
scars of disconnect or birth.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I work with 80-year-olds and their desire to feel pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it's a real range, a lot of pelvic work and internal pelvic work, prolapse and incontinence, and
Wow.
um, and then I have online courses. I have an online school called Womb Rhythms, and I
Mm-hmm.
have one for birth, sacred birth preparation, and one for scar tissue remediation after birth. I'm doing a workshop in December for 5 days called Womb Craft.
Mm-hmm.
And that's around learning how to work with others' bodies or your own body around scar tissue remediation, whether that's birth scars or sexual abuse scars or, you know, unseen and unseen pelvic
Beautiful.
physical stuff.
Yeah.
And then I have a big course coming up called Birthcraft, which is an online course that goes for 8 months. That'll start in May for anyone who works with birth. And that's again really looking at the liminal spaces, the unseen, the unheard, just like mothering, as the children learn from who we are as people. You know, midwifery is in a way an extension of mothering or birth work because you're holding the mother and well, not holding, walking alongside, holding if they wanted. Um,
Mm.
it's really looking at our own journey in relationship with birth, and from that inner place then looking at the skills to be with birth.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I work online with people and face to face with people and do workshops. So people can find me via my website, which is www Claire Eccleston Midwife. And
Great.
then my online school is called Womb Rhythms. And then on Instagram, I'm at Claire Homebirth.
Great. And I will add all of these links and everything in the show notes. But gosh, such a wide array of offerings there. And I just love this, feels like an organic transition from one to the next. And then you've just, yeah, what you've created. And a lot of this is your own, these are your creations, right? You have birthed these into the world, I guess, through all these years of experience and truly deeply listening to the needs of what these women are sharing or expressing or needing, and what a gift that you can receive these and bundle them up and okay, this is what I can offer and this is what I can do to support you. And I love that, walking alongside. Yeah. And these countries that you mentioned, these are the ones you've been to: Iceland, Laos, Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah, I was at about, I don't know, 30 countries last year. This year might
Wow.
be similar. Yeah. Yeah, lots in Europe, Mexico, Guatemala, Laos. I go every year and teach the emergency skills with the midwives.
Yeah. Beautiful. That's amazing. And that's the thing, like you're saying, the balancing your own mothering and home life with,
Yeah.
I'm on the plane again,
Yeah.
because there's this call, and they are calling you from these places as well, and your inner being is okay, and then but providing some presence still for your family at home. Yeah, it's a dance.
The dance. I'm a clunky dancer.
I think actually we all are really dancing our way home, clunky in the big clunky platform shoes. Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Is there anything else that you want to speak to a little bit more, go in any more depth about what you do, or your journey? Anything else that needs to
Probably
bubble
just
up and
to,
expressed?
yeah, just to acknowledge my children, that they have taught me, and that I'm so grateful that they chose me as their mom.
Yeah.
And my grandkids too. I feel really honored. And when you talk about bundling up that work, it's nothing really that I've created. It's a amalgamation of all the gifts, of all the learning, of all the whānau, all the families I've supported, and all the women alongside me and behind me and above me that I've learned from, and men. Um,
Mm.
so it's just yeah, to acknowledge that I don't do this work alone. I do it within community of people who I've cared for, and people who are caring for me, and people who I've learnt from, and that it's community work, that we all
Yeah.
impact and influence each other.
Yeah, it is. It's that reciprocity, isn't it?
Mm.
But yeah, we're all very truly grateful that you're able to be really good at collating and listening. Yeah, I do remember hearing of you so much when I was first at Play Circle, and mums are, they've just had a baby, and this magical being called Claire was midwife, and or someone's newly pregnant, you have to find Claire. And so I didn't know you at that point, but I felt like I knew you because the way that you made the woman feel so seen and supported, but it wasn't over in their face. It was just allowing birth to unfold as it does, and allowing them to do what they innately know how to do. Yeah, so it was a gift to actually meet you as well when Felix came to Play Circle for a little bit. So yeah, no, you're very well respected. So what you do and what you bring is truly is a gift, and yeah, thank you. But actually, before you go, can you tell us what you do to keep your soul full for you?
Yeah, I dance, I make love, I go into nature, I I feed my children, I cuddle my children. They're the main things. Mm.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm. Ah, well, Claire, it's been such an honor. Thank you so much for your time and your presence and sharing. There's so many nuggets of wisdom in there that I know that will land and be received, and yeah, and people can go dive into your world a bit more when they go exploring. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. And if I could, like, last thing, like you saying, I was like talked up at Play Circle. I remember coming to Play Circle and so receiving your loving support and bawling my eyes out, like, I'm not a good mom. I'm having a really hard time. So, to speak to the humanness.
Yeah, yeah. So that's it, isn't it? Because And that's what you and I probably both, you don't want that. You just, I am human too, because then it puts you in a position where, no, don't put me in that category. I'm still muddling along too.
So much.
Thank you, Claire. What's the bet? You're going to listen to this one again, and then maybe again, because I know I definitely did. I re-listened to this several times, and each time there was another layer, another depth, and another deeper understanding, and a little pearl of wisdom in there, and just the grace and eloquence in which Claire is able to share. It's humble yet so medicinal in these wise words that she's able to poetically string together and share with us. You know, one of the hardest things was actually naming the title of this podcast. It could have been so many things. There's so much beauty and goodness in this conversation. So I really hope you were able to drop in and receive all that's been shared. And I thank you so much, Claire, for your time and your presence. This is beautiful, gentle, yet powerful energy that you hold. And we're all better for it. So thank you so much. All of Claire's details are in the show notes. So please do go and explore her world and learn how to connect with her even more. I wish you all a most beautiful, soul-filling day and week ahead, and I will see you all soon.